I don't know about you guys, but for me, that is a perfect wave. It was about waist to chest height that day, breaking perfectly over a polished sandbar. This is about as good as small waves get over here. I was too deep there, but look at how long that wave was. And it was just steep enough to do some nice turns if you know where to put yourself on the wave. And that's what I want to talk about today. Surfing small waves requires more work, and the best way to make it easier is to hop on a bigger board. Now, I've never really been drawn to bigger boards myself, so I've always tried to make my shortboard work in the smaller surf. I would say I'm pretty happy with what I'm able to do on small waves now. And if you also want to take your shortboard out on small days, then there is one technique that you need to learn to be able to do just about everything you would do on a bigger wave. I'll call it the pop up and pump. I did not do it on this wave because I was too late and it hit a mellow spot right after I popped up. But watch how I'm trying to stay really high up in the pocket. This is what the technique is all about. Put you back at the top of the wave right after your feet land on the board. There it is. Look at what I did right after I popped up. I pumped really high up to set me up nicely for my first turn, which was really good, but I went a bit too far and was slightly too late for the next section. I missed my snap because of that, but I was able to finish it off nicely with another cutback. So let's talk about that first pump. The pop-up rarely ends at the very top of the wave. Because of that, you will not have much face left to go down into on a small wave like you would on a bigger wave. So the goal of this initial pump is to put you as high up the face of the wave as possible right after your feet land on the board. It's a continuous motion, and if you get it right, you will then be able to really utilize the whole face of the wave and gather a lot more speed. This requires more work than you would do on a bigger wave, and that's why you always hear surfers say that you have to work for speed on small waves. On this wave, my pop-up actually ended at the very top of the wave, so I didn't need to pump. But when I was ready for my first turn, I still did the same thing to gather more speed on the way down and do a much better turn. Then I started my second cutback very high up the face, once again to gather speed on the way down as I was turning back towards the foam. I missed my last turn, but the first two were really nice. Small waves have very tight power zones, and the name of the game in these conditions is to spend the least amount of time out of the power zone.
Oh, look at that.
Same thing here. My pop-up ended right at the top and the wave was a bit bigger, so I didn't need a pump.
Oh, look at that.
I personally always try to finish my pop-up as high up the face of the wave as I can. This is just to skip having to do that pump, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes I'll get caught up in the lip and some of the times I'll miss the wave altogether, just like in the next clip. That's why I think it is important that you master that technique so you can paddle as hard as you can for every wave, knowing that you will be able to surf it regardless of where you pop up. This wave was a bit smaller, so I had to do the pop-up and pump sequence. I even did 2 pumps, but still didn't gather enough speed to make the section. Here you can clearly see how the pop-up and pump is just one motion. As I was standing up from the pop-up, I engaged my fin to go up the face of the wave. This motion, which you will see here again, is by far what has helped me the most with surfing small waves. On this wave, I got caught up in the lip. I couldn't pump and didn't gather much speed. As soon as I tried hitting my first turn, I completely stalled and sunk. Speed really is everything in surfing, and the more speed you have, the more things you can do on the wave. If you don't have enough speed, the board just can't do what it is designed to do. If the water flow is too slow, the rails and fins can't work properly. You can even train this on land. Pop up like you would normally do, but add a jump to it. As soon as your front foot lands, explode up and to the side, using mostly your back leg. Once again here, I wasn't able to do it immediately and I missed like half the wave because of it. But look closely at the end, I did the same movement to put myself back in the pocket before my first real turn. Right there. This was my best wave of the day, and honestly, the session kind of only went downhill after that one.
Oh my gosh.
It isn't necessarily an easy thing to learn in the water because of how quickly everything happens during the pop-up. That's why it is much easier to get the mechanics of it down on land before trying it out in the water. I'm still learning how to do the pop-up and pump properly myself. Like I said, I have a tendency to under-paddle into waves to avoid having to do it, and that means I'm often getting caught up in the lip and end up not surfing the wave really good. At this point, I was really getting tired. This was the second session of the day, and paddling around in the 6'4" was starting to wear me out. I wasn't catching the best waves anymore, and I was always either too deep or not quick enough on my feet on the waves that I was catching. I finally caught a decent wave and decided to paddle in after that. I really hope this video was helpful to you. I would appreciate any feedback on this format, if the voiceover is fine, or if you'd like more dedicated tutorial videos. If you have any question regarding this technique or about surfing small waves in general, write it in the comments and I'll be happy to respond. I'll leave you with a pretty good set that rolled in right after I paddled in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.